Very good evening who are in India and very good morning who are in US and abroad. Guys, am I audible?
Yes, Chaitanya.
Hello. Hey, hi. So hope everybody can see my screen as well. So yep.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So before coming to the session, just I want to take my opportunity to give a thanks to Scholar IT Solution. And really, to be honest, these guys are really doing a great job, providing new information, new technology to the people, and they're trying to reach people with the new technologies and all. So now coming to the session, and again coming to the IT Scholar Solution, basically, they're one of the leading, IT company who is providing software services and support to multiple clients. So there are many like-minded people and technology people are there. Now the technology also, it is uh, spread across, DevOps, then database, then MySQL Server. There are multiple technologies they have. So they are really conducting multiple. You guys are already aware of they're conducting multiple sessions, pre-sessions to make people knowledgeable and And recently we got one news like there are more than 3,000 followers in LinkedIn and WhatsApp and all. So now coming to the session today, so I would like to take little bit of again Azure, Terraform with GCP, and why I'm giving little bit and more importance to GCP. If you remember last session also we have done similar type of work because what will happen nowadays, the AWS, even though it's one of the market leader in cloud vendor basically, right? You guys are aware of. I think okay, sorry, I didn't give an introduction of myself, okay, and I hope many of you guys knew me. So myself Chaitanya. So I have more than 15 plus years of experience in IT, and last 5 to 6 years I'm completely working in DevOps, and I would like to continue as a DevOps engineer, even though I played varieties of role. I worked as a Java technical manager, Java project manager, and my DevOps principal engineer. Currently, I'm working on in one of the leading software company in Bangalore as a senior consultant, DevOps senior consultant, in fact. So, coming to DevOps perspective, I worked almost, I can say, almost all the clouds. And my previous project was completely in AWS. I was working in one of the serverless architecture. So if you talk about cloud vendors, and one of the three market players are you might have heard about AWS and then Azure, and then it will come to GCP, right? But now if you see many, I have seen many companies are slowly moving to GCP. Maybe GCP has a market strategy they are following to attract their customers towards themselves. So, and I feel the cost wise there's little bit less. But if you talk about work or talk about documentation, I can say AWS is the best actually in terms of documentation and doing work, and it will make you very easy to work on AWS because the way the documentation they have provided is really great. So we can blindly follow the documentation. We can blindly follow the what I can say the troubleshooting documents whatever they have given, because I got a chance to work with the directly AWS team in my previous organization. So whenever we are facing some issue, immediately those guys, AWS guys, okay, follow this blog, follow this tutorial. Means it is very specific to, they knew these are the issues the end user or customers will get, and they have the documentation handy with them. But yeah, then if you're coming to documentation perspective to Azure, it will be a little bit less, I can say. Then GCP, I can say it is worst, I can say, because you won't get proper information in terms of documentation. But yeah, they are trying to make themselves better. So that's what you have to improve yourself constantly. But yeah, so and again, if you talk about doing some R&D and all, I feel GCP is the best because there is no barrier to doing some instances, running some work or doing some work, because if you go with a free tier account which is AWS has given basically, like you can just hardly create one T2 micro instance, which is you cannot do much work, you cannot do much in terms of infrastructure provisioning and doing your R&D, because if you talk about doing some I know Dockerization also, that case also you have to think about 4 GB RAM, which is, you have to pay for that, right? Now, coming to Terraform, right? So last session we have discussed something about Terraform. I just want to take you through from there, in fact, little bit. So many guys are aware of, if you talk about developments, you have to talk about automation, right? Without automation, DevOps does not exist. And again, as you guys are already working in DevOps, DevOps is more all about, helping the developers, testers, and, the operation guy. Now we can talk about the operation guy is going to get out of context completely in terms of DevOps. What are the work the operation guy is doing? Definitely that is going to be completed by the DevOps resources. Okay. So now one of the work the operation guy used to do, basically infra provisioning, right? They used to do the infra provisioning. So when I'm talking about infra provisioning, this is, when I'm talking about infra, it is huge actually. We don't, infra, people are thinking infra means I have to create one VM. Actually, it is not like that. If you talk about infra means there are a lot of things coming to picture. And in fact, provisioning the infra also, you can do multiple ways, right? You can do multiple ways. You can just go to your console, GCP console or Azure console or maybe AWS console. You can do each and every step one after the other. And everybody, they don't want to go to UI at all. What they want, okay, I should do everything if I have an internet access, right? That's what people are looking for. I can do everything from mobile. That's what people are looking for, right? Now, let's assume I want to provision some VM, right? So what I have to do, any of the cloud vendor you talk about, right? So you have to go to their console, you have to log in first, you have to go to the console, then you have to select which VM you are looking for, what type of a VM, what is the RAM, what is the operating system, everything you have to go give one after the other, right? Now that part they want to automate it, right? So I should do everything as part of your continuous integration pipeline, CI pipeline basically. So we are talking about CI/CD, right? We are talking about CI/CD. So something might be coming to your mind like, is Terraform is coming part of my CI/CD pipeline? Should I do CI/CD pipeline from my Terraform script or from my Jenkins or from my tools, whatever we are using? So anybody, what are the CI servers you guys are aware of? Anybody can just tell me? CI servers I'm talking about. How many CI servers people you guys are worked on? Let us do the session interactive. That will be better actually. Yep. Yeah. Jenkins. Thank you, Biren. This is one of the most market player. You can talk about Jenkins, right? So what else? Anybody? Please open up.
GitLab CI/CD.
Yep. Yes.
Circle CI.
Very good. Have you worked
GitHub Action.
I didn't get you.
GitHub Actions. Newly introduced.
GitHub
Actions.
You are sorry, I'm not sure that. Team City is GitHub Actions. Can you please note it down? This one? I'm not sure about that. Have you worked on that? Okay, so these are the major players in IT industry to create a CI/CD pipeline. One is Jenkins, GitLab, Bamboo, and GitLab CI basically. And these are the mostly used continuous integration server. Many people also using Circle CI. Many people Travis, very less people, Team City also. Now these are the servers. Whatever we are looking to do the continuous integration pipeline, you have to do a setup, right? You have to do a setup. You have to take one server. In the server, you have to do the integration. You have to, do the installation. Then you have to go with. Now, if we are talking about cloud vendors, right? So if you talk about all these three guys, and these are the major market players in terms of cloud, right? So they don't want to use all this right? They don't want to, they want to have everything in place, right? So similarly, these guys has AWS has given, you might have heard about called as code build. Have you heard about this? Code build or code pipeline. Right? So now Azure is just, you know, it is Azure DevOps. Sorry. Now GCP also given similar features that we call cloud build. So these integrations we need to do. So now if I am going to use any cloud vendor, I should be able to do everything within the same infrastructure or same vendor itself, right? So coming to this, what we are trying to do basically, we are talking about will be provisioning some infra through GCP cloud, right? So again, as I said, GCP has very less documentation and we can provision the infra with multiple ways. And very, you know, last session we have done how to do the Terraform setup. Anybody can just give me a heads up. Yep. How to get Terraform setup in your local machine? Anybody? If you remember, so to do it, yeah.
Download from the HashiCorp website.
Then obviously we have to download. Then what you have to do? Yes, after downloading the, then what you have to do? So basically,
We need to select the cloud. We need to select the cloud, whether AWS or Azure.
No, not required. So same term you can use cloud. It does not matter like which cloud you are using. So basically, what you have to do, if you see, I have taken one VM. Sorry, are you saying anything? Hello.
I believe we can directly execute the application from by going into our projects by defining the providers and main Terraform's file.
That is that you have to do. You are talking about your
That's so we can directly execute that without maybe installing.
Installation of Terraform means download your zip file and extract it under the bin directory, and you can access the Terraform executable from anywhere.
Yes, that is true. So what you can do, you can download that, you can download that zip file, extract it, and you can just give, you can put that one. Yes, you can just use your bin. You can just directly copy, or else you can do a class path setup. You can do a class path setup so that you can able to access that. You can access the Terraform. I can run the Terraform wherever you want in that specific machine. Can you please, if not talking, can you please go to this one? Hello? Guys, if you're not talking, can you please move to yourself? There are some disturbances are coming. Hello. Yeah, thank you. Okay, if you see here, I just what I did, I downloaded that the Terraform script, the zip file basically. CD home. I downloaded the zip file here. Then I extracted this zip file here, and then I have done a class path setup. If you go to my bash.rc file, okay. So I have just given the export the path, right? So once I give the path wherever I have kept that executable, then I can able to access my Terraform script wherever I want. Now to create a VM, so what we have to do basically, we have to take some reference. See, I won't suggest anybody to mug up something or remember something. So you should know what I am going to do. right? So what you have to do basically, go to the Terraform, documentation or HashiCorp documentation, or else Google documentation basically, right? So if you go there, you can get the steps basically, right? Those steps you can just, 1 second. Yeah, thank you. Please fill the Google form, to get the recordings latter part of the reference. Okay. Okay. So what we can do basically, we can, as I said, we have to 2 ways you can access that. One is you can just put that executable inside user bin, and then you can do a classical setups, and then you can access your Terraform script. So what I'm going to do here, if you give Terraform version, right? Okay, so you can get which version of Terraform you are looking for. So this is the version which I have. Now, what I have to do, so before writing any Terraform script, so basically what you have to do, you have to go with what you can say, you have to write the script, and that script you have to pick up, you have to go to the documentation of Terraform site or Google Cloud site, right? So I was referring to this, again, as I said, don't mug up anything or don't remember anything, you can say. So what you can do, just see what they are mentioning. So you can follow the steps, whatever they have given, and then you can do the work, whatever you are looking for. So when I'm talking about creating a VM, so I need to think about what are the parameters or what are the resources I am looking for, right? So these resources, again, this syntax will be the Terraform syntax what HashiCorp has given, right? That resources you have to pick up, and you have to create those VMs, or you have to create those resources. And again, not only that, you have to see the dependent resources. So if you see, or if you remember, or anybody has done the Terraform script and all, so what will happen? There are some mandatory attributes, right? So those mandatory attributes you have to think of, okay, if I am going to create a VM or provision a VM, what are the mandatory attributes I should require, I am looking for? So there are two different ways you can do. Either you can go to the documentation which is given by the Google people, okay, then, or else you can follow the documentation which is given by these guys. So you can go with the Google documentation, or you can go with the documentation which is given by the Terraform guys or HashiCorp people, right? So just what I'm saying, take that copy of that, and you can just use as is for your requirement. What type of machine you are looking for, what is should be your machine name, what should be your disk name, what is the size of the machine, what type of machine, or Linux or Windows or any operating system, whatever you're looking for, you can go as is. But before doing that, you need to see, I have my machine here, right? So I need to do one handshake first. This is the machine where I am running my Terraform commands, right? I'm running, and there are Terraform commands are very minimal. Terraform init. So what is the Terraform init will do? Terraform init will just initialize the plugins to do that work. Then Terraform plan. The plan, what it will do? As I said before, the plan will just try to execute what are the steps you have mentioned. The plan it is going to execute the plan. Basically, what are the steps or what are the resources you are going to create, that is going to show the method execution. But it is like you can talk about, it is like a dry run, right? We can talk about it is a dry run. So this is the way you are going to check whether the resources which you are going to provision, it is syntactically it is proper or not. Then we are talking about Terraform apply. When I'm going to apply, so what it will do, it is going to execute all the steps whatever you have written your .tf file. Again, all the Terraform scripts will be written in .tf file, right? Now, at the end, if you have created VMs, in any case, if you want to destroy that resource, not only one VM or any resources, it is, see, people in their mind, like, when I'm talking about I have to run a Terraform script, I need to create a VM. People are thinking like that. It is nothing like that. You have to create a VM. You can create, it is not like you have to create a VM. You can create any resource. You can talk about, any cloud resource I can talk about. Now also they have given option to create something in the on-prem servers also. They have given that option. If you're going for the Terraform enterprise version, you can create your network in your private organization, that also you can do through Terraform, right? So any resource, whatever you talk about, resource means when you can talk about here, you can talk about a VPC, you can talk about a network, anything, network, disk, anything you can manage through this Terraform script. Right? So all these things you can do it, but before doing it, so this is one of the machine. It can be my on-prem machine, it can be one of my cloud machine, but I need to connect to my portal, right? So this is my, let's assume I'm talking about AWS portal, or I can talk AWS console, or I can talk about Azure portal, or I can talk about GCP console. So anything you can talk about. So I need to do a handshake, right? So first I need to do a handshake from this to this. Not only handshake is not enough, right? So what you need to do to provision these VMs, whatever you are talking about here, any resources you can talk about. You can talk about VM, you can talk about any resource. You should have that permission set. Means you should have that permission set to create those VMs or to create those resources. So if you talk about AWS, what you have to do, you have to create that, you have to have that IAM role defined, right? IAM role defined. If you talk about GCP, you have to go with the service account, right? That service account from where you are going to use, or you are going to create the VMs and all, you should have that permission to run those Terraform scripts, or else it won't work, right? It won't connect. So to connect it, there are multiple ways you connect, right? Multiple ways you can connect to this, cloud vendors or portals or console. So one of the way, whatever you are using, you have to take, basically when I'm talking about connect, you have to go with the account level connection. And if you talk about, remember in AWS, what you have to do, you can give your secret key and access key. Here you can give the JSON file, basically credentials.json file, which you will be getting from your AWS console or Google Cloud console. Like if you see here, what I have done, basically you have to go to your console, right? You have to go credentials, you have to download the console, you have to download that account, basically the service account you have to create. That service account you have to download and you have to keep in the local machine where you want to do. Basically if you see here, I have already downloaded JSON file. Basically so this is the credential which I have created today and I have downloaded locally, and this reference I need to give while I am creating the VM or creating any resources. And this is what I have done here. In this machine, basically, I have downloaded my credentials.json file. So these credentials I have got it from here. Now when I'm running my TF file, and again this is the typical way we used to write one main.tf file, and where I got this main.tf file, basically I have copied from these resources which is given, or the code which is given by these people. Yeah, if you see, this is the code which I got from the GCP cloud, right? So this is the community which Google Cloud has given. So I didn't do nothing. I just copied these resources as is. I have just copied the resources as is. What I'm going to do, let me create another file also here. Let me move this file, whatever I have mentioned here. Copy. Yeah, so let me make it nullify. Okay, here main.tf file. So by default, whenever you are going to run the command, by default it will be looking for the main.tf file. If you guys, somebody is working in the build tools like Maven, Ant and all, so it will be looking for the default file. What I do, I just copy as it is, this one. Okay, let me keep it as it is here. See, I'm not going to take some ready-made code. I'm going to tell you how to do it, how to proceed with this. So all the things, everything will be getting from Google. Nothing like it is not available, but you should know how to do it. That's what, even if I used to take, when I used to take some training, I used to tell them, don't, mug up something. Just see what or how you can do. That's what you have to think about, right? Now, this is what I've given, but what are the things you are going to change it here? This is my provider Google. If you talk about your AWS, you have to give the AWS. Now, I'm talking about the credentials. If it is AWS, what you have to provide here? You have to provide your access key and secret key here, right? And these keys basically, if you talk about organizational level, that will be stored in the vault. Now, this, like you might have heard about somebody is working in Ansible. There is Ansible vault is there. AWS, their credentials are there. And if you talk about Google Cloud, you have to talk about, that is called, sorry, HashiCorp. HashiCorp has its also vault. What is the vault basically? You can dynamically change your credentials, or you can retrieve the credentials directly, dynamically from your resource where you are storing your credentials. This is what it is. Now, this file, I should have the credential which I have downloaded here. If you see here, I have downloaded my credential file here in my local system. This file content I have basically copied from here to my to the server, right? I have to change this one. Now, 2-3 things you have to change it here, right? Now, one is I have to change my credentials, right? The name can be anything. What is the name you have stored it? You have to keep the same name. Now, you have to get the project name. Which project you are working, right? This project name you have to change. Which means whenever you are creating any account in AWS or any cloud vendor, you have to, in terms of Google Cloud, you have to give the project name which you are currently running. And if you have an organization, that also you can give it. Now, if you go here, okay, I'll go to my project name. So this is the basically you have to give the project ID. This is my project ID. Okay, so let me go and change the project ID. Okay, now what next? I have to go and check the command whatever they have given. No need to remember. That's what I used to tell everybody. No, don't try to mug up things. Okay, just copy this. How many types of instances you have? Someplace I was, yeah. So these are the instances I have. Like here, I have given F1 micro, right? So you have multiple types of instances, what type of instance you want, based on your need, based on your project need, and also for your information. All these things you can parameterize it. Whenever you are running your pipeline, all the values you can parameterize. And how to parameterize? If you talk about real-time scenarios, what it used to happen, these values will come from your service ticket, right? So what I have seen, what organization level they used to do, they want some machine, and before that they used to have another barrier here. Barrier in means, if you talk about, there are some automations which will be integrating with your ticketing tool. When I'm talking about ticketing tool, it can be your Jira. It can be your Jira, or it can be your ServiceNow. Any ticketing tool that organization is using, that will be integrated through some automation. Means this value, it will be reading that value from here, and this value will be passing to the TA file. So that whenever the end user want to create or record a VM, so they will directly pass these values to the TF values. The TF means the main.tf, which I'm talking about. But yes, there are modularization which I'll try to take in the next session. Modularization means, if basically now what we are doing here, we are trying to keep everything in a single TF file, which is not the right approach in the corporate level, right? So it has to be modularized. If I'm talking about Compute Engine, it should be a different model. Maybe you can see, if you remember, there is variable.tf, your main.tf, module.tf. There are multiple things are there. That modularization maybe we will be taking in the next session. But now here, everything I'm going to put it here, right? Now, again, so when I'm talking about something called as default, so this is the naming convention, but this naming convention, you can give anything. This is the typical name, whatever you are going to provide. But this is the default network which you are going to set to setting. If you talk about a machine, if you are going to set up a machine, basically what you have to do, you have to think about a network basically. Definitely you are looking for a network, right? That network, now when I'm talking about default network means whenever I'm going to create one account, by default, they will giving me a VPC, that is called virtual private cloud. So it will take the default VPC if I'm not going to define anything specific, right? If I'm not going to define anything specific, it will take the default VPC. Now let me do one thing. I have done with the code. Again, the code which I didn't return anything, that is given by the Google people. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, let me again, if you are going to run the Terraform command, okay. So in it, if you are already initialized, obviously not required. Yeah, it is showing something error message. Just check it. What is the error message? Duplicate configuration. Where is the duplicate configuration? Duplicate provider, huh? Any idea where it is giving? Duplicate configuration is coming. Guys, any thoughts where it is giving duplicate configuration? Hello? Line number 2. AI. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me remove, copy all these files. Let me keep only one main.tf file. So copy, move, yeah, but that's what I'm trying to do. 1 second. Okay, move. So let me copy this one to different path. I feel that is taking the duplicate one here. Backward. Okay. It is rendered backup also. Okay, so let me see. Let me remove this one also. Okay, this one I have now. So Terraform net. That is in fact not required. Let me run the plan. Yeah, so it is looking good. I think something is taking from the previous configuration. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run apply. So then run the Terraform apply for this. So before that, let me see how many instances I have in my Google Cloud account and my there. So that let me do a clean up here. Okay, so I have one machine here. So let me terminate this works. Okay, so now let me run the Terraform plan here. Terraform apply. So it will ask you just enter S, right? So that it will go and create the instance, right? So you can avoid, suppose you are going to do automation or you are going to run this, a script through a automation script or through some pipeline. So in that case, you have to make sure we are not going to enter value on the runtime, right? So now if you go here and try to see, this should create one instance here. And if you see the console output, so in the console output, it is saying one resource added. So how many resources you have to mention here, that many resources you are going to add. It is not necessarily, again, as I told before, it is not necessarily it should be a VM. It can be anything. It can be network resources, it can be disk resources, anything it can be, right? So now if you see, this instance is automatically created and it is taking some arbitrary ID. Why the arbitrary ID? If you remember, I have given the random ID. I have given the random ID to create it. Here I have given random and length should be 8. So this, because of the random ID, whatever I have given, so it is creating a random name. But this is the way in AWS it used to create the instances. But here also you can give some specific name, like you are given the name, right? So it is taking because of the random ID which I have defined here. Or else you can change it and you can give a specific name, whatever you are looking for, right? Now this is the way you can going to create. Now let's assume I want to destroy it and I don't want to intervene at the runtime. So what I have to do? I have to again just destroy and just give hyphen auto approve, so that it won't ask you in the runtime to give yes. Okay, so it should automatically see, it won't ask me any values. It will go and directly display that instance with whatever I have created in the previous one. So based on this, see now how it is looking, on what basis it is looking with this instance. Let's assume I have created, you see I have multiple instances here, right? But it is going to destroy only this instance. On what basis it is going to take this instance? Any thoughts, anybody, guys? Because if you see in my plan, if you see in my Terraform script, did I given anything? okay, delete this instance, on what basis it is going to take it? Any idea? Guys, any idea how it is?
Terraform
This
init
instance
because that time
State
it,
file. State file.
is not the init, it will be taking for the state file which is getting
State
created.
file. Yeah.
So the, yes, the state file is very much important in terms of Terraform. So I have seen many companies. So this is the file I'm talking about. So this state file, it will check which state your previous execution was. You can run multiple state files, but from the state file, it will pick up and it will check which instance it's supposed to destroy. And I have seen what they used to do. Each and every run, this state file they used to store in your S3 or in your any bucket, whatever you are going to use in your organization. It is going to store the state file. And state file is very much important to check, like you are doing the versioning, right? And even if they used to do a versioning also, if you remember in AWS, they used to talk about S3 bucket. You have, while you are creating a S3 bucket, it will be, it will be asking your parameter, input, whether you want to make it is versioning, right? So if you want the versioning, each and every time the Terraform file will be, state file will be versioned, so that you can keep a track of the state file. And this is very much required, right? Now this is what we are doing. We have done a Terraform setup and we are going to run it. Now, this is one way which I have taken from here. Now, if you go to the Terraform people, they are also given this code. Now you can go and use this code also as is. You can go use this code as is. Just copy this, and whatever you are looking for, obviously, you have to think what exactly you are looking for, what type of instance you are looking for. I have taken some sample code from here, here only. Then what you can do, even if you want to run this, you can type, if you want to run this code, if you want to add this code, what you can do, you can add this code as is, nothing required. Just go with the code and use it. Suppose I want to run this code, I want to add this code to my existing code. See, again, it is a resource policy. So if and every cloud vendor, they have the resource policy. Basically, this is the machine, whatever I'm going to create, I want to run every 4 days, 4 a.m. I have to do some backup policy, basically, right? I want to run a backup, but again, you have to define the backup machine also, where you want to do the schedule. Every day cycle 1. So all these things, whatever you are looking for, that you can use as part of your script. I have created another script here. Yeah. So if you see, this is also one script which also I can run it. It is going to create. See, this one I have given a label also, right? So again, but this setup will be same for all, right? So if you see, this is the provider. It is common for all. Which way you are going to create the instance, that depends on you. Basically, you are going to create an instance with this is the disk type. This is something I have to do. Yeah. So I can take which type of image. An image means from which you are going to create. I know what type of base image you have, right? Whether it's a Debian, whether it's a Linux or Windows. So that image name you have to give. And again, which environment you want to deploy this machine. So that one also you can use here. Let me. So move. Okay, I can run again Terraform plan. Oh, sorry. So what is the problem? So basically this code is a little bit different, right? So what I have to do, I have to just do a Terraform init first, so that it will initialize all the plugins. Again, it is one time it is required. Once you've done the first installation, the initialization, it is not required. Invalid argument. Sorry. So this type of issues definitely will come for you whenever you are going to create the instances and all, that will come. The random ID is not Tell me what is the issue here. So what is the issue here? The credential file is not available. Because of that, it is not able to find the path where the credential file is. So what you can do, you can just give the path pwd. Okay, so I can take this path. Okay, I can take this path. I can just give the path here. You can change the path where you have kept the credential file. Yes. Now again you can run, you can apply with auto approve. Chalo, let me now whatever I'm going to do it here, I'm running from the command prompt, right? Now what I'm trying to do, I don't want to do any installation. Let me, and you guys know, like Docker is one of the thing which people used to use for automate new things. Now today, if you see the version of Terraform, whatever I'm using, right? Terraform version, right? So if you are seeing Terraform version I'm using this, let's assume I am going to change the Terraform version to 13 or 12. What I have to do, again I have to download it, right? And I have to extract it, and I have to give a class path, or I have to move that executable to the user bin, right? But I don't want to do that. This is what nowadays everybody are looking for. On the fly, I should provide an environment for your build and deployment process, right? So what I want to do, I don't want to use this one, this version or this Terraform installation manually. What I want to do, I'll directly provide to my build path or deployment path or deployment environment as a parameter with a Docker command, Docker container or Docker image, right? So what I'm going to do, as you are discussing, like we have to go with a continuous integration pipeline, and the continuous integration pipeline, whatever I'm using here, I'm going to use GCP Cloud Build. Cloud Build, it is similar to all these tools, whatever we have here, right? I can take any of the tools for this, but in this case, I'm going to use AWS Cloud Build. So for this, what we have to do, you have to integrate your code. Now everything I'm running from machine. Now I don't run any machine. So whatever I'm running from a machine, but I don't want to run anything from the machine. What I'm going to do, I'm going to run this. I'm going to run this through the AWS Cloud Build. So what I have to do, so before that, what you have to do, you have to copy your code to the repo. And okay, so I have created a repo. I have copied these values to, credentials. I have copied the main.tf file. Obviously, you should not copy your credentials here. You have to keep in your key vault, or you have to use, what you can say, HashiCorp vault to store your credentials. But for this particular, basically, I have already copied my credentials here, the same credential which I have kept it here and in the other machine as well. Now, what I'm going to do, I am going to integrate. So basically, I am going to integrate my GitHub with my AWS code build, right? GCP Cloud Build, right? So let me start with the GCP Cloud Build. Okay, so this is the cloud build which you have. What I'm looking for, I'm not looking for any environment to run my code or run my Terraform script. So what I have to do, I have already done some configuration. If you guys see, or maybe let me do one thing. Let me create another pipeline. So if you remember Jenkins, what you used to do, you have to create a new item. You have to create a new job. In Bamboo, in that case, what you are going to do, you are going to create a new plan. Similarly here, the terminologies are changing little bit here and there, but the work-wise, it is exactly same. There is no changes at all, right? What I'm going to do here in this case, I'm going to tell it is a triggers, right? So I'm going to create a new trigger. So give the trigger name, create VM, or maybe create GCP resource. Okay, create any GCP resource. So just give offer integration with, just give some command, valid command. It should be with GCP cloud build. Only the difference is some changes or some configuration, naming convention will be changing. Rest of the things are exactly same. Then what you require in a tag, if you want to give it, or else leave it. Now what you want. Now if anybody worked on Jenkins, if you remember, there is a plugin called as Git plugin. So Git plugin will give an option. So in that case, Jenkins, whatever you are looking for, we have to install the plugin and we have to use it. But here they have given ready-made option. What you want a branch on whenever triggering, what you want basically. So when you use a push, request is a branch, push is a new tag, pull from the request. So all the things, whatever you want, basically on what event you want to trigger this build or you want to trigger this pipeline, this is what it is looking for, right? So let me go with push branch or any condition, or maybe I can talk about manual invocation, right? I'm going with the manual invocation, and whether I'm looking for master branch or tag, what I'm looking for, right? So this is what it is looking, for me. So let me select the repository, right? So which branch you are looking for, it is a master or which branch it is, right? But the default location, if you remember Jenkins also, there is one option, default branch, it will come as master or main. Now it is changing, instead of previously the GitHub master as the default branch, but now it is giving us the main by default, right? Now what I'm going to do, okay, now let me make it as main, or else it will fail. Here, the crazy thing here is what exactly you are looking for. So in here, either you can run the AWS configuration, YML file or JSON file, or the location. Basically, you have to go with the location, which depot you are going for, and what exactly you are running. We are running the AWS cloud build.yml file. In this YML file, we have to define which Docker image you are looking for. So go to the repository and select the repository also. I think it should be there. So I have to go with, I have to select the repo, connect to the new repository. Okay. Go to continue, GitHub. You have to basically authenticate. This is my repository name. Then what I have to do, I have select which repository I am looking for, right? I am looking for this. Okay, it is already connected. I am looking for this report. Is not okay. It's already there. Right? 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Just give me a second. So that repo is already connected. Let me take that repo directly. This one, sorry. Let me connect this one. Okay. Let me create the pipeline. So in the pipeline, I have given this manual. I know manually you have to run the trigger, right? So this is what it is. Let me run it. Now, if you go to the repo, just see what is there in the repo. See, this is the credential.yml file, right? This is a credentials.json file which I got from Google Cloud account. Now, this is the main.tf file. Again, it is the same. There is no differences. It is exactly the same. Whatever we have created, I mean, whatever we have run it. Now, what? Just we have to see the cloud build.yml file. This YML file, I have to mention what I'm going to do. Now, here I'm just initializing the base image something. Now, what type of run it is? It is interpreted as a shell script basically. Now, here I am giving which version of Terraform image I am looking for. So I'm telling init this one with the Terraform this version of image. Now, if you see, this is the image with whatever I'm running here. I have taken the version of this one, right? So I am taking 0.15.0, right? This is the version I am looking for here. I am running here. Now here I am giving this version, and you can change it also. What you can do, you can check which version currently of Terraform image is available. Just give a Google image, Google search Terraform Docker image. Okay, so you can check which version you are looking for. Now one of the version which I have taken. Now you can take whichever version you are looking for your environment, because if you remember, whenever you are creating a pipeline, you should give an option to the developer or the testers to give or select their environment. This is same thing we are trying to match it here, right? So there are multiple. You can just go to the archive ones. It is not showing here. Go to tags, see what are the previous tags you have. Yeah, so this is the one. You can change it. So let me run it first. Let's see how it is going. Okay, so I have given this is the version. So what it will do, it will download the Docker image and it will run your Terraform command, right? So what I'll do, let me change it. Let me apply it. Instead of destroy, I'm going to apply it. Okay, let me save it. Now let me run this pipeline. So again, it is a similar way, the way you are running Jenkins, it is the same way we have to run it here. So it is telling run the main branch. Yeah. So you can go to the build, go to history. There are two builds are running. Maybe the first one it is also took. And you can see what it is doing basically. All the logs you can get it here. Which version of Terraform it is running. So this is the version it is taking. This is the image it is taking. In this image, it is running your Terraform commands, right? If you can go here and you can check, some VMs should be created here. So in that case, what I'm looking for, I'm not looking any environment to run, any VMs to run my Terraform commands or Terraform, commands or Terraform activities. I'm not looking for any VMs. It should automatically create here, right? So let me do one thing. Let me delete two of the VMs so that we can get it. No problem. Okay, so now what I can do, let me change the version. If you see the log, it is telling this is the version of Terraform image it is taking, right? Now let me, from the Docker site, okay, let me take this version. This is the one which I can take. or maybe you can take this one. Okay, this is my image. Let me go to my repo, edit it. Okay. Now why I have given auto approve? Because when I'm running some automation, I should not go and manually approve something. Your pipeline obviously it will stuck there, right? Make some changes. Okay. Let me run. Ideally, the pipeline should trigger automatically. Yeah, we started. Did you get this? It took this version of the Terraform. So whichever version or you have to do, and you have to take some GR projects in the next session. Is whenever I'm running something from Jenkins, it will run as a Jenkins user. So you have to go with Jenkins specific some permission sets you have to give in your specific, in your what you can say, IAM role or service account. You have to go with that type. Basically, maybe you need to create one Jenkins service account in your console or in your cloud console. There you have to create. So once you create it, it will do a handshake and it will do your work. Yeah, guys, thanks. Any questions I can take, please? Thank you. Or else we'll wind up the session if you don't have any questions. And please, fill that Google form to get the recordings so that you can future you can give a reference to that. Okay. I'm expecting next session we'll go with some good modules, some real time, how to do a project level setup in terms of Terraform. That we'll cover up in the next session. Yeah. Okay then. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Yep. Thanks, Chaitanya. So much.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you.